What are you saying, bro? You ready for another lesson?
Man, I can't wait, man. It's been a while, So.
That's a screw.
You can even tell already, you know?
Hey, right rudder, that's it.
Wheel 01, you can backtrack now.
Need to be over the field in between the two.
Alright.
What do you know about increasing the angle of bank?
Full speed.
Exactly.
You're fine, you're on the centre line, and then suddenly you're not, bro.
Next time you're in a grass, bro.
That landing. Whew. I'm worn out.
Are you aiming to be a commercial pilot?
Yes, at some point.
Yes, so these calls, they have to be made in a commercial environment. Well done, mate. You're gonna make a good commercial pilot.
Thank you.
I'll walk up behind the aircraft.
You're very behind the aircraft. We've got a fuel leak. Have we? Yeah.
By the way, go to the whiskey, sorry. The whiskey is quite strong. Mate, you're gonna make a good commercial pilot.
You still have control.
No, you tell me when you want to take control. You tell me when you want to take control.
Ever? Do I have to?
Yes. Because I say so. Bear in mind, you're going to have to work with what you've got, normally. What do you need?
That's what. I'll make use of what I've got.
Previously on Future Pilot 901.
Okay, how you feeling?
Feeling good?
Good. You're gonna go solo.
Okay. Student Will 08 is ready for departure. We're off.
Student Wheel 08, surface wind is 330 at 9 knots, we've got one to vacate.
Student Will 08.
Charlie Kilo is right base, get out to land. Student Wheel 08, minute takes and well done.
This aircraft is so nice to fly with.
Yeah, very nice.
Take a golf, Kid 20 something, controlled airspace now in the climb task chute 3,000 feet, heading 090 degrees.
Just 3,000 feet is very nice and smooth.
Yeah.
It's not like in the cloud.
Take a golf, resume that location, Sierra Lima Bill. This comes the procedure report on both flights established.
The whole point of getting your IMC is you fly clouds. That's sort of where we are roughly. See?
Okay.
So we came in for an approach on runway 23. We did a missed approach, and now we're being vectored around to do another approach into runway 23.
Ever since I was a kid, I had a dream of becoming a pilot, but could never afford it. One day I decided to stop making excuses, to sacrifice my comfort, to make my dream happen. My name is Dee, and this is my journey. This is Future Pilot 901. Check, check. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's up, people? Aviators, aviation enthusiasts. Happy Monday. Welcome to Future Pilot 901 Live, where we keep our fingers on the pulse of general aviation. The show is brought to you every Monday, 7 p.m. British summertime. Obviously, that will change when the clocks change, but for now, it's British summertime. My name is Dee, and I'm your captain for today. Shout out to you for making it to the podcast. Well, the show. Thank you very much. It's an honor to have you in my presence. Thank you very much for being here, and hopefully we can make some history today. Hopefully we can make some history like we do every single day. Happy Monday. It's another week. It's another opportunity to go after our dreams. You know, sometimes we kind of get bogged down in the everyday kind of flow of things. And the way our brains are made is that we don't, like, my favorite example is, normally we don't think about the fact that the ceiling hasn't caved in. We don't think about the fact that we still have all our limbs. We don't even consider that we haven't had an issue with our heart. You know, when things go well, we usually ignore it because it doesn't need to get fixed, right? It's no risk, so we ignore it. But the truth is, there are a lot of things that could have gone wrong, you know? And so I'm grateful to be in good health. I'm grateful to be alive, to be here, and to be in with a chance of achieving my dream. I've got lots of goals, which some of which you know. So I hope you guys are grabbing the opportunity that you have this week to attack your dream. I hope you're grabbing that opportunity, because there are people who wish they were in your position. There are people, no matter what you think of where you are, there's somebody somewhere that has been praying for what you have. So make sure you make the most of it. And that's the one thing that haunts me every day when I ask myself the question, am I making the most of what I have? And so, yeah, we're not human. We're not human. Yes, we are human. we are human, and we're not going to be perfect every day. But what my mentor used to say is, you don't have to be perfect, but never give an excuse for not trying to be. Never make an excuse for not trying to be perfect, even though you can't be perfect. So that's how we're starting this week. Oh yeah. That's how we're kicking off. Let me have a look at the flight bag. What do we have today? So apparently the annual flight safety review has been released for 2024. So I'll be having a quick look at that. Maybe we'll even look at some safety sense leaflets, since we're working our way through the safety sense leaflets. We might have a look at flying into strips. Now, not what you're thinking. All right. Clean up your mind. But yeah, we'll be looking at strip flying. Oh yeah. What else? Let's see. I have to get away early today. I have to trek all the way to the other side of London, which is the east side of London. So maybe today might be a short one, but we'll make it a good one. we'll make it a good one. If you haven't seen, by the way, I've got the Live Your Dream hats back. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I've got the Live Your Dream hats back in 3 colors. Can I tell you guys who motivated me, who inspired me to get all these hats in the different colors? Chris. If you guys have been following the Fly to Dance series, you've seen Chris make his latest appearance on the Future Pilot 901 channel. And in 5 years of knowing Chris, and we've done a few flights together, I've never seen the guy wear the same hat twice. I've never seen the guy wear a same hat twice. That made me go, do you know what? Maybe I won't just get the classic black Live Your Dream. Maybe I'll get it in different colors and just kind of keep swapping them around. So this past week has been a very interesting week. It's been a very interesting week. I went out to see some of the gliding scholars from the Honorable Company of Air Pilots scholarships, out having the time of their lives. Can you imagine being like 16 and getting a chance to just live at a gliding club for a whole week, learn how to fly, learn the operations and all that kind of stuff? It's really incredible, and they were having lots of fun, as they should. In case you guys have never seen this, I don't know if I should show you. Nah, I'm not going to show you today. Not today. I'm not going to show you guys today. But the scholarships, the gliding scholarships and the PPL scholarships usually open up in November. So maybe I'll start showing you guys some of my edits towards that time in the build up for the scholarship applications opening. Right. Oh yeah, yesterday I was out doing salsa. I was out doing salsa all day. Well, not all day. That's not true. That's not true. I was out doing salsa all evening. I got my steps in. I've dropped about 2 kgs over the last kind of few weeks being back doing salsa. So that's a good outcome. That's a good outcome. Righty, let's dip into our flight bag and have a look. Have you seen this? Have you guys seen this yet? Have you had a chance to look at this yet? I've always loved flying.
Hello. Under the radar. Come on. Well done.
And dancing, there's no denying. If only I could blend the two. I know what I'll do. I'll fly to a new place to dance with a new face. Enjoying the wings a private pilot license brings.
That was a little bit gusty.
Just made a no-fly decision.
Squawk constant duty, 3 call shore.
A different way to our build and advance.
20, join downwind.
I call it fly to dance.
4 flaps. Ooh, nice one. Flaps come up. Well, flight, man.
Foxtrot Sierra, welcome to shore.
We have everything in this flight, man. Everything, bro.
Yes, if you have not had a chance to check that out yet, do check it out. The series is on the YouTube channel. I need to make this banner. I need to make a fly to dance one and update that. But yes, you can also watch season 2 on YouTube and season 1 of me learning to fly. So if you've never tuned into that, do avail yourself of that experience, that learning experience, especially if you're a student pilot. It's a really good way to get ahead of the game by just kind of having a sense of what the next steps look like. That's what I did. That's what helped me. So I'm just sharing what I have to share, and hopefully it's useful to you. Now, KSA, I wanted to have a little chat about KSA. KSA, knowledge, skills, and attitudes. Now, I did a course earlier this year when I was getting ready for one of the sponsored schemes, doing like the assessments for the sponsored schemes with the airlines. I did one of those courses, right? Shout out to Andy, his name is, or Andrew. What is it called? What is the name? Flight Wingman. It came highly recommended by some people who I respect a lot and admire, and they said, hey, look, this guy is worth it. So I decided to fork out the cash and do the course. And I tell you, my bank account was crying afterwards. I had to bury my bank account. But I think it was worth it. I found it really, really useful. Now, I'm not going to spill his secrets because I'm not allowed to do that, and I paid a lot of money for it. But I will share one thing which resonated with what I'd learned in working in education, which is essentially you want to show competence in knowledge, skills, and attitudes. Knowledge, skills, and attitudes, right? So knowledge, your knowledge of the aircrafts, your knowledge of the pathway that you want to have, your knowledge of where you want to be in 10 years, your knowledge of the industry, of the airline itself. When you're talking about skills, you're talking about communication, you're talking about teamwork, you're talking about all these skills, things that you can practice and improve, right? But then there's also attitudes, the right attitudes, right? So you're talking resilience. Can you bounce back? Are you going to have a difficult moment in your training where your landings are not quite working out, and maybe you're not quite understanding this, topic when it comes to the theory side of things? Do you have the resilience? Can you bounce back when you face challenging situations? Can you remain calm in the storm? Can you, keep your wits about you, basically? Can you have a good attitude? Can you foresee a positive outcome in challenging situations? That's the attitudes. So it's a combination. It's not just go to this interview or go to that assessment and demonstrate I've got the, stick and rudder skills, for example, handling skills. It's not just about that, or it's not just about having a good attitude. It's also having the knowledge on the company. Knowledge about the company, knowledge about the industry, knowledge about developments, where things are going. So when I'm now already considering my preparation for the next round of assessments. And what I want to do is slowly build into this show all those different at least one thing that relates to one of those elements, or to each of those elements. So something to do with knowledge, which is what we've been covering, right? We've been looking at safety sense leaflets. We've been looking at, certain reports. We've been delving into all of that. So that's the knowledge side, particularly when it comes to general aviation. And then there's the skill side, right? Which is what I'm hoping to bring in. Now, I have a book here. I don't know if any of you have seen this book. I don't know if it's any good, but so far it's been very interesting. This was actually a gift. A couple of Christmases ago, I got this gift from my cousin. It took me years to actually open it. Give me a sec. I'll be right back after this commercial break. Ever since I was a kid, I had a dream of becoming a pilot, but could never afford it. One day I decided to stop making excuses, to sacrifice my comfort, to make my dream happen. My name is Dee, and this is my journey. This is Future Pilot 901. All right, we back. Yeah, you might have just, I'm dressed up all smart up here because the camera is here. Let me fix that. I'm dressed up all smart because the camera is here, but who's to say what I'm wearing under? So I hope I didn't just inadvertently show something I wasn't supposed to show. Apologies if you saw something that you were not supposed to see. But yes, back to the topic, right? So this book, it took me a couple of years to actually crack it open or even to take the wrapping off, because for some reason I take ages to open gifts. Like, I want this certain vibe for me to open it. But it seems very, very interesting as far as like building some skills. I've got some interesting books. I'm hoping to, because I already told you guys, right? I am using you, right? I did tell you guys that I am using you. This is an opportunity for me to do all the stuff that I know I'm supposed to do, but I don't do. And hopefully this is accountability that actually makes me do it. So I'm reading all the safety sense leaflets, I'm doing all that stuff. But I've got the Skyway Code, which I've heard is really good. I'm still yet to properly have a look at that. I've got obviously this Performance Pilot, which is about skills and techniques and strategies to maximize your flying performance. I'll tell you a little bit more about that very soon. How to become an airline pilot. What I'm interested in, mental maths for pilots, developing that. I've got physics and maths for the PPL. I've got 81 lessons from the sky. All things that I have read this book. I have read this one. Hence why it looks. Hence why I had a spill in my bag. Coffee. Yeah. So I'm looking to dig into some of these books as we go. And, one of the best ways to really embed knowledge is to share it. So this is my opportunity. Hopefully we're along for the journey and we can grow together, Oh, news. I told you guys about a collaboration with Young Sky Pioneers. And it looks like we've got something in the diary. We're going to do a two-way podcast. What I mean by that is I'm going to do the... Am I supposed to even be saying this? Am I releasing the information too early? Oh, well. I've said it now, so there you go. Anyhow, so we're going to do it one way where... Mr. Andrea Trosso, founder of Young Sky Pioneers, will be interviewing me. Then I'm going to switch around and I'm going to interview him. Now, obviously, I do live shows. They don't. So it's going to be recorded and we're going to post it around about the same time. So I can't wait for you to share that conversation with you guys. Hopefully, it shouldn't be too long, maybe a few weeks. Let's see. I'll keep you guys up to date. Now, let's have a look at this. I'm going to tell you some of the chapters, how the mind works. So that's the kind of beginning entry point. Then they're talking about brain integration, and there's a few exercises that's supposed to integrate your brain and get get your brain all wired and connected and stuff. Sensory input, mental programming, mental imagery, learning, self-coaching is another one. Preparation and practice, performance state of mind, belief system, the inner game of flying, a pilot as athlete, cockpit comfort, the peak performance pilot. So those are some of the chapters, just to give you a bit of a flavor of what's in here. I'll just read a tiny section of this, and then I'll probably share a little bit more next week in the next show. The 3 keys to improving your flying performance. Based on the performance model, you can see there are 3 keys to improving your flying performance. Faster processing. The faster and more efficiently you process the information, or the faster and more efficiently you process the information in your brain, the better your performance will be. Fair point. Quality input. The better the quality and the more quantity of input from your senses that you can process, the better the output and the better your performance will be. Fair point. Quality programming. The better your mental programming, your software, the better your performance will be. Another fair point. Because these are so critical to your performance, we're devoting the next 4 chapters to discussing methods you can use to improve these 3 areas. So hopefully that's something we can delve into as we go. And the idea is to improve, and we're looking at, adding the skills element to the knowledge element that we've already been doing. And then we're also, as we're going, kind of trying to develop the right attitude, or at least I am. I don't know about you guys, but I am. So yeah, I'm going to be sharing some of what I'm learning from this. I'm going to get back to it. I did start reading it, but life. So I'm going to get back to this and start sharing some of that. But thinking back to quality input, the better the quality and the more the quantity, interestingly, they added that, of input from your senses that you can process, the better your output. And that reminds me of when I started flight training. And anybody who's probably, started flight training or, got a bit more advanced in, say, the PPL would probably attest to this. It was a great idea to film my lessons because I would watch it back. And I'm so focused on just taxiing, right? But there's all this information coming into the headset, all this communication that's happening from, the traffic service unit. And my instructor just pushes to talk and is responding. I'm like, what is he responding to? Right? Because my senses at that point are so overwhelmed by the task saturated. I'm so focused on what I'm doing when it comes to just controlling the rudders to keep directional control. But the other senses are not even in the picture, right? My hearing is completely off. I'm not hearing air traffic control call us or whatever. But over time, the more I'm practicing, the more senses, the quantity of what I can process in a situation has actually increased. So I'm able to, at the same time, manage the flight path and listen out and have a conversation with somebody or one of my passengers, but still hear when I'm called. It does take a lot of practice. So I found that interesting that it talks about that. But I'll be sharing more about that next week. So with that said, let's get the show started.
Ever since I was a kid, I had a dream of becoming a pilot, but could never. Ever since I was a kid, I had a dream of becoming a pilot, but could never afford it. One day I decided to stop making excuses. to sacrifice my comfort, to make my dream happen. My name is Dee, and this is my journey. This is Future Pilot 901. Alrighty, if you're wondering what the extra break is for, I'm having to blow my nose because I'm having one of those days. Having one of those days, and I do not want to show you guys me blowing my nose because I know what you're like. I know what you're like. I know what the internet is like. But maybe one day I'll blow my nose on air. Right, let's have a look at this annual flight safety review. All right, where are you now? I did make some highlights. Might be some interesting information for you. Let's have a look. I've got like 1,000,001 tabs, and I have to try and keep tab of all of them, which is not very easy. Window. Yes, I think that's the right one. Let me just make sure I'm not sharing something I'm not supposed to be sharing. Make sure it's all good in the hood, all sweet on the street. They make sure that this is the highlight of the skylight. All right, now I'm just chatting rubbish. All right. So, what is this? I don't like this view. I'm going to change this, guys. Give me a second. I do not like that view. I do not like this view. Nah, that's not going to work for me. No, sir. No, sir. Let's see. Let me fix that. So the annual safety review, which is for 2024, CAP 3146, which looks at all aviation, not just general aviation, all aviation. All right, general aviation is a subset, is a subsection of the annual safety review. Right. I'm going to share this tab instead. Let's see if this works better for me. Yes, I like this one a little bit better. Alrighty. So, just so you know what it looks like, again, feel free to go and search this up yourself. Annual Safety Review 2024, CAP 3146. Now, let's see what this has to offer us, right? So it's got definitions, types of flights. Then it's got all the different things. Oh, I forgot that you can actually click that and just go straight down. Now, for our purposes, we're going to drop down to general aviation. The UK general aviation sector covers around 17,000 aircraft, mainly with maximum takeoff mass of below 5,700 kgs, including specialist activities such as pilot training, balloon operations, gliding, ex-military aircraft operations, parachuting, and aircraft displays. Overall, while the risk associated with GA is greater than commercial aviation, and if you tuned into the last couple of episodes where we were talking about cost sharing, this is something that we've revisited quite a number of times because the CAA, for cost sharing purposes, need you to inform your passengers of the fact that GA generally is riskier than commercial aviation, which is what they are used to. And of course, we looked last time at the declaration that you would need to get your passengers to sign if you're cost sharing, to declare that they have been informed of these things. And all that takes effect from the 1st of October 2025. Back to this. Overall, while the risk associated with GA is greater than commercial aviation, the safety level of GA in the UK is still acceptable given the nature of the activity undertaken. That is good news. Yes, sir. Okay. In case you didn't know, and I might start tuning into them myself, and then I'll drop down to some of the key points that stood out to me. The CAA's GA unit exists to help people avoid potential harm when they encounter GA, and our team is committed to delivering protection now and in the future as effectively and as efficiently as possible. The unit responsible for GA safety promotion activities aimed at the GA industry, including podcasts, safety animations, a variety of publications, including Skyway Code, safety sense leaflets, webinars, and GA community events. So those are some of the things we can look at. Now, let's have a look at some key parts that I wanted to pick out from the GA side of things. All right. So you can't see the notes or my highlights on that version because the version I've got my highlights on is a little bit trash. Okay, so in 2024, the CAA received 2,200 occurrence reports that involved GA aircraft, of which 7% were classified as accidents or serious incidents. 1% resulted in fatal or serious injuries to persons on board. GA occurrence reports make 3.6% of all occurrences reported to UK CAA. So 3 to 6% when you put in, commercial, and they actually list all the different ones. Let's see. Where is it? Where it is. So occurrence reports from aerodromes, air traffic management, non-scheduled commercial air transport, non-UK operators in UK airspace. So they're looking at all of that, and GA makes up 3.6% of that, right? And 1% resulted in fatalities. So that's interesting to note because that's exactly what we want to be avoiding. There were 158 accidents and serious incidents involving GA aircraft in 2024, of which 83% resulted in no injuries. The number of accidents and serious incidents were well below the 10-year average, with a rate of 27 per 100,000 reported. That is real good. Obviously, it's about making it safer still, but yes. But it's trending in the right direction, it seemed. Now, 8 accidents resulted in fatal injuries to 9 people. Rest in peace. Always sad to hear about people, passing away due to accidents in aviation. But it's the reality of living life, isn't it? Which takes me back to what I was saying at the top of the episode. I don't like the idea of waiting to be on my deathbed to consider my choices. I like to imagine I'm on my deathbed now and think about what might be a regret and then do whatever it is and avoid the regret. because life is short and you never know. And sometimes, yes, it's, an error or whatever, and sometimes it's a freak accidents, um, just in life in general. And so, when I was doing the Day One Mentality podcast with Mo, the steady athlete, one of the things he said is like, whenever we talk about something and I mention a dream, a goal, something, a new target, I never postpone it to the future. I never go, oh, that's something I'll do in the future or at some point. It's like I always start taking the first step. Whatever my goal is, it's like, okay, what's the first tiny step I can take today? And that's something I had to and still have to push myself to do, to be action orientated, not thoughts, just thinking about stuff or not just talking about stuff, but to be action orientated, because it's in the action that we learn. It's in the repetition. It's in the doing of the thing that we get better at doing the thing, right? So, yeah, it's life is short. Life is short. Life is short. But obviously, one of the reasons why we're looking at this is because we don't want to make life shorter than what it needs to be. We don't want to make life unnecessarily shorter. So if we can learn from mistakes that have led to shortened lives, then maybe we can avoid it. And that's the premise, isn't it? That's the whole idea. So having a look at this. So there were 11 reportable accidents that resulted in injuries or serious injuries to 14 people, right? Reportable accidents and serious incidents in 2024 can be largely divided into two categories. Those contributed by pilot performance, such as insufficient preparation for a flight and poor aircraft handling during critical phases of flight, and those related to technical malfunctions, such as engine failures during flight. So it's either pilot performance or technical malfunctions. So that's your graph. Looking at that, you can see 2019, there are 200 accidents and 30 serious incidents. And that went down, then went up. Now, this is around COVID time, 2020 and 2021. And it went up and peaked. The last peak was 2022. And then since then, we're back to nearly 2020 levels. And hopefully it keeps on trending downwards. But as technology develops and new things come in play, there's always, opportunities. So it's really important to stay on top of whatever we can stay on top of. Right. But I found it useful just to, have a look at these figures and just have an awareness of what's actually happening in the world of aviation. And I think that's a good practice, a good practice to have, because when I go to my interviews for the airline, I can talk about how I do this show every Monday, and I make it a regular habit to keep myself up to date, because one of the things they're going to want to know is probably at some point during the process, and it will show if you're the type of person that stays on top of new information and so on, especially when you got like 200 souls, 300 souls, 90 souls behind you, who are reliant upon your skills, your knowledge, and your attitudes. It's very important to keep sharpening those tools. In fact, one of the questions in a situational judgment test, if I remember correctly, is something to do with how should you approach your 6 monthly what's it called, competency based training, and the idea is, or what should you do if you haven't been flying for some time? And the answer is not saying that just chill out and have a good time. correct answer. The correct answer would be, ensure that I'm ready. I have the knowledge, skills, and prepared for flight when the time comes, if and when the time comes. Yeah, by keeping myself sharp, studying, reading up, practicing certain things to minimize skill fade. So something along those lines. So yeah, this is part of me developing a habit of regularly keeping myself up to date with what's happening in the world of aviation, because it's easy to be watching Netflix and the latest series, and it's easy to be just relaxing, or it's easy to be focusing on the skills of flying, but not necessarily the knowledge of the industry. And I know for me, that's, to some degree been a weak point at different times. So yeah, it's all about plugging those gaps. And I'm grateful that you're here for that journey, and hopefully we can grow together. Okay, so let me see if there's anything else I wanted to pull out for you guys from the annual safety review 2024. Let me have a look. Is there anything else? What happened in the commercial world? Let me just find my let me just find. So we got general aviation. We just have to look at that non-scheduled commercial air traffic. I'm looking at a different version, by the way, if you're wondering why yours is not scrolling. All right, that's a pretty short section. We can have a quick look at that. Scheduled commercial air transport. Let's have a quick look, shall we? Right. But what I'll do actually is I'll go back to the top and I'll click the link. Scheduled commercial air transport. Now, let's have a look. Scheduled CAT accounts for the majority of passenger and cargo flights in the UK. This sector consists of 18 airlines operating over 800 large fixed-wing aircraft, and is the most common way the public interact with the aviation system. In 2024, this sector flew over 128 million passengers on over 880,000 flights. Wow, interesting. This is an increase on 2023, where there were only 118 million passengers. So from 118 million passengers in 2023 to 128 million passengers in 2024. And in 2023, it was 839,000 flights. So an increase of nearly 10 million passengers. Sorry, guys, I had the wrong screen there for you. I guess you can kind of see what they're talking about, these airlines, when they are saying that the aviation industry is growing. People are traveling more and more people are traveling. And so hence the sponsored schemes by British Airways with Speedbird Pilot Academy and TUI MPL program and Aer Lingus. I don't think that's an MPL program. I think that's an ATPL program. But TUI sponsored cadet scheme, Jet2 launching theirs just a couple of months ago. So you can see why, because there's a need. There's a need for pilots out there. Who knows how long that will last for, because it always does this, right? That's what it does. And yeah, so at some point there's going to be something that causes the growth to plateau or even shrink, causes the industry to shrink, and then it's going to expand again. And actually, it's the same cycle with, well, life is cycle, isn't it? It's the same cycle around the sun. It's the same cycle with day and night. It's the same cycle with sleep and wake. It's the same cycle with the tide coming in, going out. It's the same cycle with money. And I have intended to talk about investment. I think that one of the things that people should do that they don't do is invest money. You get better returns than your savings account, and you can build wealth. But the economy does that, right? The economy expands, and then it contracts, and then it expands. So I think I've heard the quote, a recession makes the most amount of millionaires, right? Because in a recession, people panic sell, they sell their assets. And so the price goes down. And if you've got cash on the side, you buy cheap. You buy the cheapest during a recession when the economy is down. And then when it recovers and it booms again. So I'll give you a good example. When I started investing in 2022, Bitcoin was probably about 20, 30,000 maybe, but it steadily dropped to 13,000 per Bitcoin. Now, obviously, Bitcoin is a crypto asset. It's going to have more volatility, meaning the price shifts a lot more, like overnight kind of thing, compared to maybe your stocks and shares, right? But Bitcoin was at 13,000 per Bitcoin. Previously, the high was 69,000, right? The year before, something like that. And it dropped down to 13. And obviously people panic sold, right? But if you bought in at 13,000, now it's at 121. I think it hit 121,000. So from 13,000 to 121,000, you've probably like what? Just under 9 times your money. You've 9x'd your money, right? If you bought when everyone was panicking and then you sell now. And especially in talking about, for me, because getting into aviation was like, I was so financially restricted, right? I was working as a teaching assistant. I think I'm the first teaching assistant to have a pilot's license. I'm going with that. I'm the first teaching assistant. And if you want to get more specific, I'm the first special education needs teaching assistant to have a pilot's license, right? And it wasn't easy to get my license, to pay for training. And I paid for the most part of my training. Then I got a scholarship right at the end. Obviously with the support of people as well when I did my fundraisers. But because of how restricted I was financially, I had to go with everything. I had to chuck everything. So I started doing a distance learning degree with the Open University. I started business. It's a bachelor's in business management and French, right? And the reason why I did that is years ago, I never did a degree because I wanted to become a pilot. And then I decided, you know what, actually, I can't afford to become a pilot aged 18. So I'm not going to go to uni and study something I'm not interested in, because that's a recipe for failure, right? So instead, I went into the dance industry, worked as a professional dancer, professional / semi-pro. Sometimes jobs can be hard to come by, but teaching dance was very regular. So a lot of dancers kind of do that. They teach just to maintain a regular income and then, do the performance jobs as and when they come. So I did that for some time, then started working with children. Anyways, back to my, starting my training. So I was chucking everything because I knew if I get a degree in something I'm actually interested in, business management and French, which I already know a little bit of and just need to polish up, then I can increase my earning capacity, right? I had specific jobs I wanted to go into. So that was my stepping stone. At the same time, I'm posting my footage so I can do fundraisers, etc., etc. So I can build that side and hopefully build the brand, build the channel, whatever, find a way to monetize it. And I have been able to monetize it in little ways so far, which has been really useful, right? But I was chucking everything I could possibly chuck. And I thought, you know what? Let me also invest, right? Because that's just another thing, right, that can make work for me. And I have to say, so far, it's worked really well. Well, actually, I don't have any investments. I lost them in a boating accident. Do not come and look for me. Do not try and find my address. I don't have any investments, but if I had them, they're making good profit. They're making good profit. Yeah, they're making good profit if I have investments, but I don't because I lost them. Because I don't need anyone coming after me and taking my Bitcoin. With that said, yeah, so I'm my thing to student pilots is make, if you're struggling to afford it, right? Because if you can afford it, you got family in aviation, you know, you can, hey, enjoy. That's what life served you up. Make the most of what you have. I'm not one of those people that gets annoyed with the fact that some people have it easy getting into aviation, relatively speaking. I'm not one of those people. If my dad was a captain at a major airline, bruh, I will feel no sense of remorse, no shame in making the most of that. Listen, this world, nepotism happens, and I can take nepotism to a further degree to say it's not just to do with family members. It's about who you know. It's about who you know, and that's why you have to get to know people and build relationships, because opportunities like present themselves in those circles, right? That's where opportunity presents itself. And that's why, for me, the most valuable thing has not just been getting the scholarship from the pilots, it's been being part of that community, right? So, hey, if you have it easy, you don't need to trick and plan and plot your way to pay for training. But if you come from, you know, more modest and humble background, and you know, struggling to pay for training, then you're gonna have to scheme and plot and plan and you know, figure out and be cunning and make things work. I tell you one thing that I did, for example. I think going for my PPL is what helped to develop the side of me that's more action orientated, right? Because I realized, being honest with myself, I'm not a saver. I I tried saving and it doesn't work. I'm not a saver, right? But the beautiful thing about accepting yourself, however you are, look, whatever that is once you accept it, you can find a way to use it, right? So, because I know I'm not a saver, I'm better at spending than saving. I then told myself, what I can't do is wait to save up all the money before I start going for the flying lessons. Because I'm a spender, let me start spending on flying lessons. And before you know it, you know, a small percentage of my income went into aviation, and over the years, it's gone like that. And of course, the thing is, I'm not really saving, I'm not really spending it, I'm investing it, right? But I found a way to make my leaning work for me. But first, I had to accept that. And so, you know, always accept yourself. However you are, that's how you are. Just make it work, right? And that's how I got into investing as well, right? Because with saving, you kind of can have access to it, right? And you can pull out from it, from the account. But with investing, it's a different dynamic. And so because I'm a spender, I can spend on investments. So then I started investing and I got an investment portfolio. I mean, I don't have an investment portfolio, but in a different universe, potentially I have one, but maybe I lost it in a boating accident. With that said, I think, let me have a look at the flight bag. It's about my time to get out of here. It's about my time to get out of here. I'm going to have a look at the chat because I'm sure there's somebody I need to ban. Who do I need to ban from the chat? There's somebody I need to ban from the chat. Whilst that's loading, oh, there we go. There we go. Oh, darn it. Right. Let's have a look. Who's in the chats? I need to ban somebody. Wait, it's loading. It's loading. It's loading. It's loading. It's loading. I'm going to have to come back to that. All right. Well, we've got to the segment of the show where we have a look at some of my favorite YouTubers, right? If you have a favorite YouTuber, make sure you drop them the name of the channel of the YouTubers, Aviation Youtubers, in the chat, in the comment section, because you never know who you will inspire. Oh, lucky. There's no one for me to ban. All right, cool. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. What have my favorite YouTubers been up to? Remove that. Don't need that. All right, let's check it out. Check it out now. Down Funk Soul Brother. What about now? Dude. Check it out now. Nope, not channel content. No, not that. Yes, that. Let's have a look. Let's check it out. What have people been up to? Shout out to the new subscribers. Thank you very much for joining me on here. That looks like an interesting match. For those who don't know, obviously I support Man United and I'm invested in Man United as well. I've got shares in Man United. Did I just say that? I mean, I lost my shares in the boating accident. Right. Dance Dojo. No, that's not what we're looking for. Flying with the guys. Fly with the guys. Mistakes were made. Still amazing. So that, I think there's custom panel they've got on. So that looks cool. Exclusive tour inside PNG's Papua New Guinea's cheapest hotel. Interesting. Not interesting for me though, but love the guy though. It's got some really cool flights. Bush flying out in Papua New Guinea. Flying Doodles, dog fighting in the Bristol. Interesting. Let's have a look at that. What's that saying? Oh.
Want to know what's going on here? Well, you'll just have to watch to find out. I've been training in this World War I era Bristol fighter plane replica to perform a simulated dogfight at an air show. Hear all about it on this week's episode.
Alrighty guys, well today I'm back here again with Dave King. Now this last episode that you guys just saw this past weekend, we were flying your Waco INF.
Well, INF for a ribbon cut.
That was awesome.
Yep.
That was pretty cool. We're about to go do something just as awesome, pretty cool. We're going to take the Bristol and the D6 up for a
dogfight.
Yeah.
Yep. We're
So
going to have fun.
I just got checked out in the Bristol a couple weeks ago, and then we're training up for the dogfight so I can help out with that whenever needed. And
we're looking forward to it. You know, the nice thing around here is people can take a weekend off or something once in a while.
Right.
So when they do that, it's nice to have more of us checked out and everything. And you know, your flying is outstanding to begin with. you haven't done any air show flying.
Right.
So that's what we've been working.
That's
We
what
flew
we've been working
yesterday, we were flying today, we flew last Saturday.
Well, normally I'm just worried about the on-the-ground stuff, making sure my landings are good. We've been
We all
focusing
worry
on
about
making
that.
but we've been making sure
Not your
the
landings, and my landings too.
Oh yeah, we know.
Yes.
We all worry about it. But making the airplane look good too is a skill
Is a
that I'm
skill.
starting to learn, because you guys make the airplanes look great for me. You know, the first time I get in, I'm just making, you know, little racetracks. It's like, well, you need to do something interesting
and
there.
learn.
Yeah, takeoff is optional, but landing is not. One way or another, you will have to land. The question is, how's it gonna go? So that looks interesting. Although I'm not into, like, I will watch warplanes and stuff like that, but I'm not really into the aircraft as much. Although I find it really interesting to, like, to learn history. I do like a good documentary, right? I do like a really good documentary about
Imagine
wars,
being able to build an app with
wars and that kind of stuff, world wars and aircraft and strategies and stuff like that. Well, clearly someone's monetized that content. Let's have a look. What else has been happening? I saw you owe this to your passengers. Now, this was pretty cool. I did have a watch of this. Clearly, I didn't finish. But, you know when I was saying about if your dad's a pilot, make the most of it? Well, that's one person who's made the most of it. His dad was a pilot, had an aircraft. Then, life happened. The dad sold the aircraft. Then the kid, Josh, decided he wanted to become a pilot, got through training. They bought an aircraft, repainted it, and then he flies with his dad. And he's actually his dad's flight instructor. Okay, I'm jealous and envious. Yeah, I am. Why do some people get to have that kind of life? Just kidding. Life, we make it what it is. And hopefully one day I'm going to be flying with my kids. That's the idea. That's the goal. That's the dream. In fact, my kids, how parents say, I never, want to force my kid. I'm forcing my kids to be pilots. Yeah, I'm forcing them. They have no choice. They're going to be pilots, whether they like it or not. Daddy, I want to be a doctor. I don't care about you being a doctor. You're going to be a pilot. Yeah, you're going to be a pilot. I don't care. You're going to be a pilot. Yeah. Now. I'm not jumping out the window with that. Don't wish that. But whatever they want to do, they should still be able to have the skill of flying a plane. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to want them to have the skill. Fine, you want to be a doctor, you want to be a psychologist, you want to be a musician, you want to be whatever. You can still learn how to fly and do whatever you want to do. So my kids will know how to fly. They will know how to fly. But this series or this video was about recurrent training. And actually we'll watch the intro because I like something that Josh said at the beginning. So let's have a look.
This is what I was getting above.
Yeah. All right, step one, right. Put that nose down to stop a stall. Glide speed, grass, and gas. Gas means troubleshoot.
Yeah, right today.
If you have time. Let's go around. I like it. We would have made it. Stay alive. All right. That's the cadence that your eyes should be bouncing from one instrument to another. All right, let's go carb heat out and power to idle. And let's touch down after the numbers before the 1,000-footers.
991, your radar contact north of land passes. Practice approaches are approved. No separation services will be provided. Maintain VFR. Report turning inbound on final forming.
2.5 hours worth of the flight portion of the flight review.
Do you know what? His edits are just so, I really like his edits, right? And I think he's the master at this transition, right? Watch this.
Approved, no separation.
Like when it zooms in and then transitions to the next one. I won't lie, I kind of have stolen that transition a little bit.
Services will be provided.
This.
Maintain VFR report turning inbound on final
He's
form.
like the master at it. I don't know. Like I have to do it manually on Premiere Pro, but I don't know if he's using a, you know, like you can get preset, you just drag and drop. But I'm having to do that manually at the moment. Although I have watched one of his videos where he's got an editor that he works with, so maybe I need to get myself an editor because it's long. Speaking of which, part 4, which is the last part of the Flying to Dance series, is probably not, it's going to be posted most likely next week because I've got a couple of days off my day job, which means I can actually focus on editing because it's really tough fitting everything in. I don't know how they do it. I really don't know how they do it. But I'm trying to find my way to be consistent. And that's why I like doing things in series, because I could do a short series and just wrap it up. And then, you know, because I'm juggling a few things, that way I can like do the series, then something is there, and then I'm dealing with something else, and then I'll come back and do another series and kind of, well, keep things rolling that way. But yeah, it's time consuming. So if there's anyone out there who's interested in doing some video editing, I've got a ton of footage, 2 years worth of footage that's waiting to be edited. So if you're into that and you want to collab, let me know, because that would be hugely helpful. And if I have to throw a few pennies your way, hey, I'll do that too. But yeah, let's go back to this.
2.5 hours worth of the flight portion of the flight review, and because you're instrument rated, I think having approaches be a part of the flight review is important.
Well, it was very, very informative, the whole thing.
I'm Josh, a flight instructor and a filmmaker with a passion for the sky, sharing it with those around me and using it to see our world from a new perspective. Flying can seem super complex, and I've made it my mission to showcase safe practices while sharing the beauty we behold on these adventures. This is Aviation 101.
0991, Addison Ground, clear to Hotel Yankee India Airport via on departure flight runway heading expect radar vector show 49.
Wait a minute. What? 1 second. Aviation 101, 350k subscribers. Aviation 101, 329k subscribers. What's happened? What? 350k, 329k. Bit of a discrepancy there. I'm not sure what happened, but just noticed that. It caught my attention.
Via on departure flight runway heading expect radar vector show 49.
It's going to be a warm, late winter day here in San Marcos, Texas. And today, my dad is in need of a flight review to reset the clock on his currency according to 14 CFR Part 61. In the previous video, we addressed my own personal rustiness as a pilot after not touching an airplane for 6 months. I also broke down all of the requirements to get current for different types of flying, and closed it all out with a poem called The Rusty Pilot's Lament, sent to me by one of my followers on YouTube. I read his work in that video, and I think it is so relatable to so many aviators across general aviation. I ended that video on a note about recurrent training and the state of it in general aviation, and how we as pilots and instructors in GA really need to take recurrent training more seriously. So in this video, we're doing just that. This is my dad, Bob. He got his private pilot certificate around 1979, and he owned and flew a Cessna 172 Skyhawk with his dad for 17 years. When I was about 3 years old, as the story so often goes,
Bruh. So his dad flew with his granddad. Yeah. See, this is why I have to achieve my goals, because like imagine flying with my grandchildren. Now there's a thought. Not only will I make my children fly, but I'll make my grandchildren fly. Okay, see, this is why I have to stay healthy and avoid death. Avoid death. I gotta avoid death. so I can stay alive long enough and invest my money so I can get rich and get into an airline and get, good, great pay, buy an aircraft, fly with my kids, and then, fly with the grandkids. That's the goal. That's the goal.
Life got in the way. The old Austin airport was closing down, ramp space was hard to find, my parents were building a new house at the time, and it was just time to sell the plane. 14 years and many inquisitive flying conversations with my dad later, my parents supported and funded my dream to become a pilot, just like my dad. And right after I got my private...
What do you say?
Funded my dream to become a... Conversations with my dad later, my parents supported and funded my dream to become a pilot, just...
Wait, one more time. What did he just say?
Time to sell the plane. 14 years and many inquisitive flying conversations with my dad later, my parents supported and funded my dream to become a pilot, just...
My parents supported and funded my dream to become a pilot. Did I ever tell you, have you seen this? If you haven't read my blogs, let me show you guys future. And then I'm going to get out of here because I have to travel all the way to the other side. Future Pilot 901. Okay, so check this out. I used to write these, and it's all about, very much like these shows, it's about me trying to develop myself. And these was about me trying to develop the right mindset, right? So I wrote a lot of stuff on like mentality and some of the earlier stages of training. And I should probably go back, but I don't know, the thought of now, it's a little bit more saturated and people let AI write, and I hate, trying to let AI write for me. So people are not reading as much as they used to, which is a shame. And I'm trying to reverse that within myself and trying to read even more. But yeah, I've been a bit discouraged to write these blogs. I've kind of left it where it's at. Maybe I'll pick it up one day again, but we'll see. But I want to bring your attention to this blog. Is it dangerous to worry about your first solo flight? Okay. Now, I took that wording. All right. I recently had a little exchange with a well-known aviation YouTuber. In one of his videos, he said that on average, his students go solo around 20 to 25 hours. What? Now, I commented that I knew people who were ready to solo at around 13 to 16 hours in the UK, and asked if there's a different system in this country because he's in the USA, right? His response was that it's dangerous to compare hours to solo and that he would prefer to share the skies with somebody who had more hours. Shade. In case it needs to be said, I actually like his videos, right? So anything I say at this point is not even an attack on him or his character. Obviously, if you do figure out who he is, it's nothing like that. I really like his channel. In fact, I've probably featured his channel on my channel before, not today, but I have featured his channel before. They are okay, so his videos are great quality and they've helped me a lot. So this blog is not about putting him down. It's more about considering and criticizing his comments. And I mean criticizing in the positive sense, like actually breaking it down and thinking about it and finding my way through what he said, all right? And I'll tell you how that relates, okay? So I decided to call him George, but I wrote this because I'm the perfect example of the kind of student who was worried about his first solo.
A couple of months ago, I set a goal to solo before my 30th birthday. As a result, I started a GoFundMe campaign and was able to raise that much. And I'm very, very grateful. I'm pleased to announce that although I didn't solo before my 30th birthday, I did solo on my birthday week. It was an incredible experience. For more on that, subscribe to my YouTube channel and etc. Now, for the purpose of this blog, I'm going to refer to the YouTuber as George. Now, I was taught that a good way to think something through is to outline as strong an argument as possible for the opposing viewpoint. So I tried to steelman what he was saying, right? And the idea was that he's saying that, look, if you're worried about your first solo, what you're going to do is try to rush there, and you're going to take risks unnecessarily, and maybe you're going to pressure your instructor, and you're going to put yourself in a situation you're not ready yet. Okay, so slow down. Don't worry about the hours, worry about the proficiency, because what we need you to be is safe in the sky, right? Now, when he said, don't worry about your first solo or how much hours it takes you to get to your first solo, essentially what he's saying is not necessarily I'm worried, like I'm really worried. No, it's like, don't pay so much attention to it. That's the kind of general gist of it, right? And I was very conscious about it, right? Very conscious, like how many hours am I doing? I need to try and minimize my hours. Now, when you're coming from a situation where, now remember, the person, that known aviation YouTuber, is not Josh. 100%, I can tell you that unequivocally, that it's not Josh. But I just want to highlight something. When you come from a situation where your parents support and fund your dream, and you have them as benefactors, you can afford to not worry about how long it takes you to solo. But when you're strapped for cash and you need to make your dream happen, you have to be concerned, right? It's the same thing. If you've got £1 million in the bank, you can go to somewhere and not worry about, trying to barter, or not worry about how much. You don't even need to look at the price tag. You can just go buy the car you want. You can just go buy the thing you want, the shirt you want, the trousers you want, whatever it is. But when you've only got £30 in your bank account and you're not getting the next 30 till next week, you have to be more strategic. You can't just go, well, it doesn't matter. Now, where I disagreed with him, and I outline it in that blog, is I don't think being safe and being concerned with how many hours you're taking, I don't think those two are mutually exclusive. Just because I'm concerned about the hours that I'm taking to first solo doesn't mean I'm not proficient or safe, or that my attention has been drawn away from safety. Perfect example, and I talk about it in the blog. All right, I'll put the link in the chat if you guys want to check out that blog. Let me drop that, and then I'll tell you exactly. I'm going to land the point, basically. So that's in the YouTube chats, and that's in the Kick chat, because we're live on Kick and YouTube. Right, so back to the point. Perfect example. Now, I did 10 hours of flight instruction, or of PPL training, around about 10 hours before I did my first solo. And I did about 12 hours in total if I include trial flights, right, before I went first solo. Now, my question was really, I just wanted to know, was there a different syllabus, right? Because if they're taking 25 hours, I know even in the UK, people take longer sometimes, and that's okay. But how did I translate that? How did I translate my quote unquote worry? I made sure, where is it? To show you another book that's got coffee stains, that I made sure I wrote detailed notes on all my flights from first flight all the way through. So this has got all my notes, my debrief notes from my training, right? Because I said to myself, no, I'm not just going to worry about my flight time, I'm going to focus on maximizing my flight, my each flight. I'm going to maximum each flight so I can minimize the amount of time it will get me to first solo. So I wrote down all the debrief, and before the next lesson, I would go back and read what I needed to correct from the last lesson and the lessons before that. So every time I came to a flying lesson, I was well prepared. Now, I read up on the next flying lessons theory as per the book. I don't know if I have it here. I don't have it here. I have it somewhere in one of my bags because I'll probably travel around with it. But book number 1 of the Poolies, shout out to Poolies. Book number 1 has all the exercises you're basically going to do. So you can literally open it, learn the exercise before you learn the exercise, right? So I did that. And just in case in the lesson, my instructor goes, do you know what? Okay, you've got steep turns. Let's just do practice forced landings. Now I'm like, damn, I haven't read up on that. So what I did is I read the next one as well, right? Read what I'm going to do this flying lesson, read what I'm going to do the next flying lesson. What else did I do? I filmed my lessons. Why? So because I know it's going to be my instructor, one of my instructors, Sabina, who's featured in season 2 of Future Pilot 901 Learning to Fly. We used to joke after each lesson, she'd be like, okay, I guess I'll see you next year, right? Because there was such gaps between my flights, my training flights. So in that gap, what I would do is watch back the footage, right? Watch back the footage. So for example, even the next day, one day I did zone transit. I was overwhelmed on the radio. I was like, what did they say? I've got no clue what they're saying. I don't know what to say back because that was sprung on me. I didn't know. I wasn't told that I would be doing the radios, right? So this is the time when I wasn't prepared, because usually I would ask, what are we doing next lesson? And what's the next thing after that? But I hadn't been told. I just switched instructors. So we were finding our groove together, right? So I did on the Saturday. Zone transit was trash. It was terrible. Got home, listened to the recordings. The next day, I was like a pro. The next day, I smashed it. And the reason why is because I was able to review the footage. So I made a conscious note to film my lessons, to write down all my debrief notes, to read up before each lesson and read up on the lesson after that lesson. I also was using the flight sim, right? I got the flight sim, and unlike some people, and it's a pet peeve, and I've talked about it before, who are working on their PPL, but on the flight sim, they're flying a 777 or A350 or 787. No, in my flight sim, I had a Cessna, and I was flying from the same airfield, doing the same procedures, right? And so before, if I had a month gap, the week before my lesson, let's say I'm flying, and usually it would be a Saturday or a Sunday. On the Monday, I read up and I start flight sim, and I try the exercise on my own based on the written instruction in the Poolies book. On Tuesday, I practice it. On Wednesday, I practice it. On Thursday, I practice it. On Friday, I practice it. On Saturday, I go and execute, right? That's how I got ready for my lessons. Now, when I had Battered by Crosswinds, Learning to Fly season 1 on the Future Pilot 901 YouTube channel. It was the week of my birthday. I was terrible. I had a passenger in the back. It was crosswinds. I was doing the right-hand circuit for the first time. I was all over the place, right? It was terrible. Then I went home because I was worried about my solo. I went home, and the next day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., I was glued to the flight sim doing circuits, glide approach, flapless approach, engine failure after takeoff, circuits, until I did 100 circuits. I had to pause it, go to lunch, come back, circuit. I literally physically felt sick by the end of it. But what I told myself is, you're never going to mess up the right-hand circuit ever again, because you're used to the left-hand circuit. So you did a right-hand circuit with crosswinds and you got thrown off, but you're never going to get the right-hand circuit wrong again. So when it then came to the next lesson, I finished my emergency procedures and I went first solo. What am I saying? Not every 10, not every 100, not every 1,000 hours is equal, right? And this is where I felt that his response was one-sided. And to some degree, I get it, because like people don't like thinking, people don't like thinking. They just go, oh yeah, like they just kind of dive in without really thinking. So if you had to have a hard and fast rule, it would be, don't worry about your solos. Don't worry about how long it takes you to train. Don't worry about how long it takes you to get your license. Don't worry about that. If you had to have a hard and fast rule. But for somebody who's actually thinking, you can worry about how long it will take you, because you're thinking, which means you're going to look for mitigating factors, right? You're going to approach it methodically, right? So somebody with 100 hours who's only been doing circuits is not equal to somebody with 100 hours who's traveled internationally and has flown to 20 different unfamiliar airfields. Not all 100 hours are equal. Not every 10 hours of flight instruction is equal, because behind every hour, remember I told you I had 10 hours of PPL training. Behind each of those hours was detailed debrief. Behind each of those hours was probably at least 5 hours of flight simming for that particular maneuver. Behind each of those hours was watching back footage. So I relived the same lesson 3, 4, 5 times. So if I were to add all those hours, it would probably bring me up to like 50 hours. For those 10 hours, probably brings me up to 50 hours. Whereas for somebody else, those 10 hours might have been just showing up to the lesson and what are we doing today? Oh, okay. Overwhelmed in the lesson, not really knowing what they're doing, kind of learning in a high pressure situation when it's really hard to take in new information. And so those 10 hours would be a weak 10 hours, whereas I made sure my 10 hours were the strongest they could possibly be, with a ton of work in the background. And that's where I feel that he didn't make that distinction. And when you're strapped for cash and you don't have your parents supporting and funding your dream, and you have limited cash, you have to be strategic. You have to let your strategy make up for your lack in funds, right? And so you should be worried about how long it's going to take you, and you should take the steps to mitigate that. And, so you can actually make it happen. Because if, like for me, with limited cash, if I don't do that, I will not become a pilot. So if I don't worry about how much it's going to cost me, how many flying lessons, etc., I want to achieve my dream. So I have to. And I think, you have to be from a certain background to actually understand that. And that's why, for me, my focus was on people building themselves up, or me building myself up mentally, and why I wrote all those blogs. It's about, building yourself up and having strategy. And that's why I talk about things like, are you investing? Because it's like, if you got your parents backing you and you've got a ton of money, hey, you don't need to worry about, having every base covered. But when you're limited, when you are facing limitations, you have to be creative, and you have to use whatever is in your sphere of influence. For me, I had a background where I was interested in film. I hadn't quite done it like I've done it now, but I was interested in films and stuff like that. I was like, okay, cool. Let me start a YouTube channel. Let me share my journey. And my channel is nowhere near being monetized, but I'm pretty sure it helped me get a scholarship, right? I'm pretty sure that my videos, in fact, I can tell you unequivocally that it helped me. I've lost one of my lights. What? It helped me definitely do the fundraiser that allowed me to go for a solo. So you have to be creative. You have to be creative. Anywho, that's my spiel for today. My lights are dying out. That's my cue to go. So if you want to check out the blog, the link is in the chat. And also Aviation 101 is the YouTube channel we're looking at before. And yes, quite a cool video where he takes his dad through recurrent training for his PPL and instrument ratings. All right, people. Well, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to get out of here. I hope you had a good time. I hope you learned something. I surely did. And I appreciate the opportunity to be able to practice improving myself and upping my level of knowledge, of skills. And I look forward to sharing with you some of the lessons I'm going to get from this book. I'm going to go back to reading it for you guys, because you guys help to keep me accountable. So I appreciate you. All right. So whatever you got planned this week, above everything you do, I hope that you will build and take steps towards achieving your dream. With all of that said, see you next week, Monday, 7 p.m. live, British summertime. I look forward to chatting with you guys then. If you have any suggestions or things I should look into, let me know and I'll be happy to have a look at it, because this is a bit like peer study. And sometimes going through the same information in a different way can help make it stick. So let's work together. Let's grow together. With that said, until next time, this is Future Pilot Liner 1, and my name is Dee. I'm reminding you to live your dreams. Peace.
Man, from living in my car to finally getting my trial flight done.
Hold it.
To being in this moment. Hey, come on. Well done. Was it worth the sacrifice? Oh man.
Flat. Pull back. May pull back more. Hold it there. Pull back. Radar 130. Bit more.
Listen. Was it worth the sacrifice?
So, power right, center line.
Listen, if you have a dream, it's down to you to make it happen, man. You might give it everything and it might still not work, but guess what? The journey makes you a better, stronger person. Can you imagine what kind of person you would become if you didn't pursue the one thing that you thought was the best thing in the world? You didn't pursue it. What kind of person does that make you after 20, 30 years of doing that? But when you chase what you believe is the most valuable, the most beautiful, the most awesome thing that you can do, and you give it everything, win or lose, you become a better person.